Hello, reader. Suyana here, reading chapter 24 from the All-Inclusive Approach, The Art of Divine Remembrance, entitled You Are Who You Are Meant to Be. If someone had told me at age 24, when I first committed myself to self-discovery in the spiritual path, that it would take over a decade before I began embodying my true nature, I would have been devastated. My younger self would have assumed that something was inherently wrong with me or with life, that it could take so long. And if they had added that it would take several more years before my external environment and circumstances reflected that inner truth, I most likely would have collapsed into despair. How could self-realization not be immediately followed by all my dreams coming true, I might have thought. For years, I believed that the greatness, abundance, love, and fulfillment I was seeking were always just around the corner. It felt like that year after year. I would have profound epiphanies that transformed my relationship with reality, yet when I returned to my day-to-day life, I couldn't understand why everything appeared the same. Wasn't my external reality supposed to shift dramatically after I gained all this new wisdom? By my mid-30s, after a failed marriage and losing the so-called American dream, disappointment and confusion morphed into depression and apathy. Questions like, how can I best serve humanity, were replaced with, what's the point? As I approached my late 30s, I began to understand that my existence was a story written by the cosmos, complete with twists, turns, heartbreaks, and blessings. This story had its own plot, its own lessons that needed to be learned. I came to see that I was perfectly cast for the part I was here to play. I had prepared for this role before I had even entered this physical form, which had been thoughtfully chosen by infinite consciousness in accordance with my own free will. The stage was set and all the characters had their roles, yet here I was, longing to rewrite the script. At 24, I couldn't fathom that I would still be living the same lifetime, regardless of whether or not I embodied my highest divine expression. How many of you guys feel like that? I naively assumed that once I did the work and gained wisdom, poof, I'd step into my dream life. In hindsight, this belief feels both naive and ungrateful. Even now, there are moments when the part of me that believes in fairy tales wishes to wake up to a fantastical new reality. But I often remind myself that I am the fantasy consciousness wished to experience. I just happen to call it reality. Eventually, all aspects of the self align into their highest expression. Enlightenment, I believe, is the culmination of that inner evolution. Time is the space we are given for practice, application, and integration. It is the gift of time that allows us to observe and align all aspects of ourselves. Resistance to time often reveals parts of us that struggle with the truth of our reality. We may become distracted by the enchanting arguments, problems, and solutions offered by these evolving aspects. We might negotiate, condemn, judge, reject, and avoid them as well. Both approaches guide us toward integration until we are finally ready to relax, breathe, and observe again with the awareness of Source. The judgments we make about ourselves and others during the process of healing and integration often reflect deep-seated beliefs of unworthiness or insecurity. These judgments act as catalysts for defeat or invitations to embrace the journey of life. Why would we trust the future when we were raised in a society that instills a pervasive fear of the unknown? How could we accept that we are okay as we are when we've been conditioned to constantly strive for more, to be the best at every moment? The answer lies in recognizing that we are in a perpetual state of evolution, an evolution anchored in one constant: change. Change manifests in various ways. It might appear as the stillness of integration, which may seem unproductive to an outside observer. It might show up as a steady progression toward a goal, the release of what no longer serves us, or the rapid expansion into something new. Each of these facets of change is essential to our ability to embody our power and approach our experiences with oneness and authenticity. It reconnects us with our eternal nature. If we fear the unknown, it signals areas within us that do not yet trust in the interconnectedness of all that is. These parts require nurturing, reassurance, and loving compassion to ascend into their highest expressions. They cannot evolve through judgment, rejection, or condemnation. In those moments, what's evolving is the condemner, the judge, the one who rejects. For much of my life, I carried an underlying sense of unworthiness. Even in moments of triumph or success, I felt like a fraud. I thought I was merely pretending to be capable, confident, and valuable. These beliefs persisted until one morning, as I sat alone, following my final Reiki attunement for the Reiki Master Teacher level, a profound realization struck me. I am without end. I was born into this life as a mostly open vessel, though not entirely. Two consistent attributes have remained with me throughout my journey: a loving and willing heart, and an emotional relationship with my experiences. I feel, therefore I experience. It became clear that much of who I am has been shaped by influences beyond me. My lifestyle has often been swayed by the norms of those around me. Many of my beliefs are flexible and malleable, adapting to the ideas and opinions of the time, of others, of the particular mindset or energy that I'm in that moment. While this is less true now than it ever was, it still persists. For years, I interpreted this quality as weakness. I thought I lacked a true sense of self because I was a chameleon, a shapeshifter, constantly adapting to new people, new environments, new perspectives. In my early 20s, I was vegan while I lived in LA. I smoked when I dated a smoker. I ate at chain restaurants when spending time with my family. I explored conspiracy theories when I was married to my husband. This ability to adapt, while often putting others at ease around me, made me feel as though I had no anchor. Over time, however, I learned to see this adaptability differently. It is not a weakness but a strength, a testament to my openness and flexibility. Through years of self-reflection and acceptance, I developed a quality of discernment to complement my adaptable nature. This discernment has become essential in choosing who I spend time with and what I choose to emulate in this world. What once was a source of judgment and confusion has transformed into a profound understanding of my capacity for growth, connection, and change. One day, while driving to work, a question popped into my mind as I reaffirmed my commitment to making my own decisions and determining my way of being in the world. The night before, I had gone against a promise I made to myself not to watch Netflix and instead do yoga. But when my son made a compelling case for cuddling up to watch The Lorax, one of my favorite movies, my conviction flew right out the window. The next morning on my way to work, I found myself berating myself for not sticking to my plan. As I tried to transition from the critical inner voice to that of a wise, compassionate sage, a question arose. How does this quality serve you, the greater good? I paused. What? I'm not the greater good, I thought. I'm just me trying to make a positive impact on the greater good. But the question repeated itself. How does this quality serve you, the greater good? I had no immediate answer, no insight, no epiphany. Frankly, the question left me even more confused. Now I had a whole other mystery to figure out. How am I the greater good? I arrived at work with this riddle still fresh in my mind. As the day went on, it drifted into the background until a customer unknowingly brought it back into focus. A young woman entered the store, visibly trying to conceal her distress. She asked for help finding a supplement, her voice trembling slightly as she struggled to hold back tears. Sensing her need, I gently encouraged her to share what was on her mind, letting her know she could talk to me, a perfect stranger, if it would help. She confided in me about the overwhelming challenges she was facing, and we discussed supplements for stress and anxiety. At the end of our conversation, she said, "Thank you so much for listening and taking the time to be with me. You really know how to put yourself in someone else's shoes." Eureka! How does this quality serve you, the greater good? That's how it serves me, the greater good. What I once saw as a weakness, my chameleon like ability to adapt to others, revealed itself again as a profound strength. In its immature form, this quality mimicked behaviors and patterns, much like a child copying an adult. But in its mature expression, it became the gift of presence, compassion, and connection, a capacity to meet others where they are, relate unconditionally, and offer genuine support. This does serve me, the greater good, when I'm not compromising myself in an effort to connect with others. This realization brought me immense relief and gratitude. I began to see this characteristic as a purposeful strength to be refined and utilized. Interestingly, once I understood its purpose, many activities I previously engaged in to adapt to others began to fade away. I no longer felt compelled to join a smoker for a cigarette to make them comfortable. My family started choosing restaurants with vegetarian options out of respect for my preferences. And while my son still holds sway over how we spend our time together, I see his influence as a gift helping me grow into the best version of myself. Recognizing myself as the greater good deepened my understanding of my intrinsic value and the unique characteristics I bring to this world. We are all the greater good. Honoring the God within and the journey Source has chosen to take through, with, and as you is the ultimate expression of this truth. When we judge or reject ourselves, others, or the world around us, every step of the journey becomes a potential landmine. Anything can trigger us, leaving us as ticking time bombs of stress and self-doubt. For years, my insecurities led me to distrust people and worry about what they thought of me. I feared I was inauthentic, even with those I loved, but it helps to remember we are all growing and evolving together. No one has this journey perfectly figured out. We are all doing the best we can. The fear of the unknown, whether internal or external, keeps us from moving forward. We risk retreating into the limiting familiarities of our old realities. Befriending uncertainty is an essential part of growth. We must dance between willingness and resistance, but our commitment to embracing it all will carry us through. When I didn't understand the question, how does this quality serve you, the greater good? I didn't turn away. I let the answer come in its own time. This dance between openness and fear provides feedback to a loving source, signaling when we need more time and space to resolve our inner conflicts. This time and space, they're gifts. We often misinterpret them as stagnation or self-sabotage, judging ourselves for not moving faster towards our goals. But nothing could be further from the truth. These moments of stillness and struggle are not hindrances. They are opportunities for growth and reflection. Source exists beyond time and space and does not judge how long it takes you to grow or how much time you need. What is meant for you will arrive at the perfect moment, without delay or denial. Blessings arrive when you become a vibrational match to receiving them. It's not a race, not a measure of worthiness. You would not have been a better recipient of these blessings had they come 5 years earlier. I could not have appreciated the chameleon-like qualities I possessed until I moved beyond their immature expressions. Only after transcending codependency and the tendency to prioritize others' needs over my own was I able to truly embody the power of this characteristic. Everything before that was preparation, a training ground for growth. Since then, I've been refining this quality and deepening my relationship with it, with curiosity. God evolves through your willing participation in this paradigm called physical reality and beyond. This includes the process of healing, integration, and embodiment. You receive everything you need to facilitate your healing and growth, even if you don't see it that way at the time. You are blessed with all the components necessary to mature into your next state of being. As an eternal expression of source energy, your natural arc of ascension is supported with infinite love and patience. Source desires nothing more than for your evolution to unfold with ease and grace. There is no need for urgency, no reward for reaching your destination first. There is only the endless expansion of eternity, providing infinite opportunity for the dynamic and beautiful process of evolution to continue, around you and through you. I can really appreciate that there's aspects of you listening to this that might feel like these are very lofty concepts and that they don't necessarily apply to the world the way that it is because we're in such a massive state of transformation. But I am not speaking to the finite part of you, the one who identifies as mortal, is afraid of suffering, and reasonably fearful of what untold challenges we might face during this process. But underneath that, underneath all of that logic and practical perception of the world the way it is right now, is your anchor. It's your center. It's your eternal nature. And it's the part of you that can connect with the solutions, with the discovery, the manifestation of the new paradigm. These are the leaps that we all have to take. They're the choices that we're all facing right now. To stay oriented in fear and separation, worry about the future, and apprehension to participate in creating the future we truly want, or to choose the eternal part of us that knows we don't die, we transform, we evolve, we transition, and we have a power within us that we are responsible for expressing honorably, virtuously, with intention. And the choices start in little moments and they culminate with making the choice over and over and over again until it becomes your orientation point, until it becomes the way you operate in reality, in your personal reality, in your area of the world. You develop the inner landscape of infinite potential, and then you express that in the world beyond your personal identity, and you see it all around you. When this is your orientation point, you see it in all aspects of life, and you can connect with people in that way. You can see the potential within them. You can soothe the fears that they have compassionately, not righteously, not because you're pretending to be some evolved version of yourself, but because you have integrated your perception of reality into the evolved part of yourself. And I've yet to see it happen through force. It's an unfolding. It's like the difference between trying to open up the petals on a flower versus watching the flower unfurl itself in the exact right conditions with the natural wisdom that it was born with. It's an allowing, and it happens through persistent, intentional alignment with that aspect of self, while loving, appreciating, and integrating all other aspects of self. So I'll leave you with that food for thought, and we will get into the reflection on this chapter right now. So, are you ready for the reflection for chapter 24? I hope so, because here it comes. Here is the reflection for you are who you are meant to be. This chapter dissolves the myth of not getting there. Growth does not mean you are incomplete. Evolution does not mean you are behind. The version of you reading this right now is not a draft awaiting approval. You are a fully formed expression of consciousness in motion. There will always be expansion. There will always be refinement. You are not progressing toward worthiness. You are expressing it. And whatever expression that is on the spectrum of unworthiness to worthiness. The idea that you must fix yourself before you can rest, love, create, receive, or serve is part of the old paradigm. It's getting expunged from the collective consciousness so we can move into the new paradigm. This chapter invites you to release that pressure and recognize that becoming is not a correction process, it is a remembering process. You're not late, you're not lacking, you are unfolding. The journal prompts for this chapter are 1. A belief I once held about myself that I now see differently is fill in the blank. Number 2, if I stopped trying to prove my growth to anyone, my worthiness to anyone, my value to anyone, including myself, I would fill in the blank. Number 3, the qualities I once rejected in myself, but now see as strengths are, fill in the blank. Number 4, when I feel behind or not enough, the story I tell myself is it self-condemnation? Is it blame? Is it righteousness? Is it inferiority? A follow-up to that is, what would a wiser version of me say in response to that articulation? Number 5, if I fully accepted that I am already who I am meant to be, my daily life would shift in these ways. And you fill in the blanks. We really are in a process of moving beyond striving and settling into a state of thriving. And it doesn't happen because it's being bestowed on anyone. It's something that we remember, that we claim, that we embody, that we intend, that we share, that we put our focus and energy on in a gentle and open and loving way. Striving perpetuates manipulation, coercion, forcing your will, your agenda, your expectations on others or on yourself, even when you're not in alignment with it. And thriving is about working in unison, in collaboration with the elements that support a thriving state of being, not just for you, but for all the other ones, because it's collaborative. It requires co-creative energy to manifest fully. And so we're all remembering our part to play. But universally, I feel that one of the things that we're remembering collectively is that we're not inherently wrong and bad, which has been a storyline that's been perpetuated for a very long time. And it supports tendencies towards apathy, distraction, addiction, separation, hierarchy, superiority, inferiority, righteousness, judgment, ridicule, betrayal, abuse, neglect. Ugh, right? So fully accepting yourself includes the shortcomings and strengths, which allows a desire to collaborate to be really fostered inside the psyche. Because if you can accept your weaknesses, then you can also accept that there are other people that have those strengths, and that collaborating with them and balancing and cooperating with your strengths that might be their weaknesses is a much more enlightening, engaging, productive, and fulfilling approach to manifestation, to creation. And just talking about it for me, I just feel like, yes, let's get this party started. We gotta come together. Ooh, ooh. All right, so the exercise for this chapter is called the Divine Timing Grounding Exercise. And you'll not be surprised about step number 1. Sit comfortably with your feet touching the ground. Place one hand on your heart and one on your lower abdomen. These centers are really useful for when we're going through transformative practices. So that's why they keep reoccurring in a lot of these exercises. And then you're going to take 5 slow breaths at your own pace, but bring it down into the belly. That's the focus. And exhale fully. Allow for a slight pause at the end of your exhale before your next inhale. Now imagine your entire life as a timeline unfolding in perfect rhythm. Not rushed, not delayed. Each event, each pause, each redirection arriving exactly when it needed to. Then picture your younger self standing before you and tell them nothing was wasted. You were never behind. Every version of you was necessary, welcomed, and appreciated. If not by you, if not by me, then by the energy of creation that knew perfection when it created it, which is us. which is you and me and everything that exists. Now bring your awareness to your present self and acknowledge that everything you experienced has led you to this moment of hearing me, acknowledging, appreciating, and seeing you, this moment of a shared remembrance about the totality of existence, this moment of connection. And doesn't that feel nice? Isn't that nourishing? Doesn't that feel reassuring, empowering? I sure hope it does. And after you do that, whisper internally to your present self, I am exactly where I need to be. I honor my pace. I trust my unfolding. Everything works together to produce my highest good. That was a quote from Trust from Barefoot Doctor. I love that song. And then the final step is just allow your body to soften into that truth. Notice any sensations you have, any thoughts, any feelings that arise, and just be present with them. There's no need to define, to record, to catalog. Just be the witness. The quote for contemplation this chapter is, "You are not becoming who you were meant to be. You are revealing who you have always been." The beautiful divine remembrance. So, are you ready to leave a comment? Are you going to hit like? Do you think you might subscribe? I hope you do, and share this with the people that you love who you would think it might benefit. Until we meet again, be well and enjoy the now.